Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. Welcome back to Coast to Coast. So looking through our options, I'm just going to cut to the chase. There's nothing terrific out there. There's definitely long distance ones and so forth, and actually I mistakenly selected a job and looking for things, so had to cancel it, and that's why I'm below 1.5 million at this point if you've been keeping exceptional track of things. So I'm going to take this job for soda ash. First off, most of it's in the US, so that will mean it will move along pretty quickly. I did look at the last one, and we really did come in close to the 3 hours. It just somehow seemed like it was taking way longer than that, but so the time was correct in Sim Dashboard, but I know I'm not going to make a lot of money here. I'm also, I don't have a way to make enough experience to likely get to level 30 with one run anyway. So I've kind of given up on pushing that, because this one up here is, 3,900 miles. It's, a good distance, but still not enough that it makes a lot of sense, because it's doesn't have any bonuses. But the main reason, I kind of gave up just trying to get lucky and figure out where a Western Star dealer is, so I looked up online. I can't find anything for the map expansion, so there's a possibility there's a Western Star dealer somewhere, but there is one here in Stockton. And so that, in essence, is kind of what I was looking for. This takes us right by there. And that will at least take care of that issue. So that's one of the main reasons I'm taking the job. Plus, it's decent. It's the third longest job that I have available to me. Right, turning on all the lights, as always. So, Kenworth. Again, nothing too exciting, too fancy there, but it's kind of a little bit of a powerhouse. So I guess that we did learn one thing here. Oh, hold on. All right. I'm like, let me make sure I know which way I need to go. So we debated, like, if it rounds up on the money, does it say 1.5? But I'm clearly at 1,497,000, and this didn't go ahead. So at this point I can go 562 miles. I'm just going to keep going. So it looks like we at least have a good amount of fuel. We are 3/4 full, so this probably is something that makes like 700 miles, but so just a basic dry van. Again, we're hauling soda ash, which I forget exactly what it's used for, but I don't know that it matters. I mean, as a trucker, I'm sure we haul all kinds of stuff we don't know what it's for. We just get paid to move it. Oh goodness, I turned hard enough, but obviously not hard enough, so the Kenworth with the long nose. So already again, I didn't even feel the bump in the force feedback, so I don't think we're in any, like, real danger there, but alright, it was interesting, because when the job was loading up, Sim Dashboard told me 2 hours and 40 minutes, but now it's telling me 3 hours and 8 minutes, so it's basically the same length as what we just did, which is about right, because I think it was very similar to that mileage. So alright, so we are covering, I think, a lot of the same ground, but at this point, to not waste any time, I'm not going to worry about stopping at the dealerships and things like that I was doing the last couple episodes. I'm just gonna keep heading along here. Okay, I actually do want to exit right, so we will do that. And I guess I should have known that, because again, we're following a route we've followed before, which is obviously pretty common for most things. We're getting some pretty good fuel economy, but I'm thinking that's also... Oh, now I see what's happening. I'm like, why am I going so slow? That's because I do have my cruise control set at 60. But I was going to say we were doing like over 7 miles to the gallon. But that is also probably because the soda ash is just 23,000 pounds, so it's a pretty light load. May also be why the mileage is as high as it is for 3/4 of a tank, so maybe this doesn't have any more fuel than other things, but you know, but now I'm up to 75, so I'm down to 6.1, but that's still better than usually it's around 5.5 miles to the gallon. So you can see the trip odometer there ticking up, so you can kind of keep track on your own. Again, it was like 35.72, I think. We've got nearly 90 hours of difference between our deadline for the delivery window and how long in theory this is going to take. So in theory I could sleep 9 times, but we won't do that. Unless we have to, obviously, but... Okay, well I know we don't keep right. Although, we might... Okay, we'll have to exit here.
Exit right.
Because the road ends for us. I think this is where I crashed once before, because I came in way too fast. Didn't quite mean to blow through that, but the Kenworth, I've always had challenges with its brakes and everything, so... I know some people love this brand. I mean, it's definitely an iconic American brand. I think this is the W900 that is also one that I think it got added pretty close to when I started playing ATS, and I just remember the hype around it and how excited people were to see it. I don't know. It's fine. It's a truck. It's just not my cup of tea. I just, again, it's too general. I mean, I suppose you could say it's got an extremely detailed instrument panel, but, you know, all the gauges and so forth, and I don't know, I guess I'm a digital person, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, I don't mind nice, well-placed analog gauges, but a whole instrument panel of them looks impressive, but having that one little tiny digital readout in like old school green text, like, you know, my old grade school calculator or junior high calculator used to have, just not very exciting. Oh, we haven't gone this way before, so there you go. Discovered that gas station and rest space. Once again, I'll do my best to try to drive during the day. The good news is we'll be going through the Midwest expansion section, so eventually we'll have a little bit more scenery once we kind of get out of the Northeast here and head over. But I didn't really look in detail because I was more looking obviously at the end of where this heads over. But yeah, there were four Western Star dealers, so they're actually very, very difficult to find, kind of like the Freightliners were, that I think also have like 3 or 4. So there was one in Lewiston, Idaho, which is in the thin top part of Idaho, and it's not really something you go by that often. Salina, Utah was a little bit more centrally located. I just couldn't really find anything that got me any closer than Salt Lake, so I would have had to dip down, which I was about ready to do. And that's when I kind of mistakenly double-clicked when I was trying to get a job to select, and I didn't realize double-clicking actually accepts it and loads it, so that was not what my goal was by any stretch. So, but then when I came out, some of the jobs had changed when it reloaded the job board, which would make sense, and I think that one was gone. But this one appeared, so it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise, I guess. So while I paid $12,000, at least I didn't have to worry about taking extra mileage to go unlock a dealership. So yeah, then there was Alamosa, Colorado, and then obviously Stockton, California that I mentioned. So that is the one we're going for. So, I guess we're just heading straight through town here.
Go straight on.
Whoa. Always love when they're all kind of stopping where they don't need to stop. So for those who like the trucking sim, I spent some time yesterday or in between episodes. So some of it was today, regardless. Trying to figure out perhaps another version that I can run. Obviously, I said, I'm intrigued about maybe doing the realistic economy, but doing it now that I know of Midwest expansion, now that I've gotten exposed to that, and the added complexity of the map that provides, using that. And then the other thing I looked at was just starting up a series in Euro Truck. And the only reason I hadn't been doing that is really I use Pro Mods, because I just love what Pro Mods provides, especially in ETS. So I would like to do that if I'm doing a series. And at the time when I was starting the series here, which again, I started the real economy one knowing that it would be a bit of a slog, but then immediately came upon the idea of the coast to coast, because the real economy one, when I went and looked at that, didn't have any additional maps on it. I was just playing the real economy on the base SCS maps. So, the alternative would be to go ahead and add the maps. And once again, I think I would not do Canada, because I don't know that Canada adds a lot. Why are we not going? Alright, well, I'm not going to wait here. Probably going to get a ticket of some sort, but we have a green arrow and they're sitting there. I don't understand. I don't know if they had hit each other or what had happened, but in any event, we didn't get ticketed and we're on our way. But, with the real economy, you're going to tend to progress a lot slower, so you're going to run a lot shorter runs, and so Canada's going to be of almost no use. Plus, I'm just not a huge fan of it, honestly. It's just not detailed enough, as we saw in the last episode. So it's not something for a series like that I'd need lots and lots of loads that I would do. But when I was debating doing something in Euro Truck, because clearly that would be the best thing to do, we had gone through, or were going through, some very fast updates from SCS, where I think, we went from 1.40 to 1.41, 42, 43, and 2 or 3 of those happened very quickly, like within a few months of each other, to the point that, if I recall, by the time they got Pro Mods working, it worked for maybe a month, and then they had another update, and then Pro Mods was down waiting for it to be updated again. I may still be in a very similar position if I start and then 1.44 comes out, but it's not as if we're hearing something about a 1.45 or anything, because that whole thing happened very quickly because they were introducing the multiplayer convoy mode and so forth. So I think they were doing kind of their regular update, but then they threw the convoy one in there very quickly because they wanted the multiplayer option to be available, as opposed to just the Truckers MP, which is what most of us use whenever we're trying to do multiplayer and work with each other. So that's just a long way of basically going through and saying, what I've decided to do is I am going to go ahead when I start up another series, which still may be a few runs from now, because I'm still kind of focused on getting this one to the point where I can buy a truck, which is why I want to make sure I get that last dealership, that last brand opened up, and then I get to level 30. But what I may find is when I open up that last brand, it may just be Freightliner that doesn't let me go, and if I decide to buy something else, getting here to level 29, which we're certainly going to do with this run, that may be enough. So we'll see, but in any event, my plan is to just start a series in Euro Truck to give folks that variety. So I did look. There really aren't any good economy mods that I can see. They're either no longer really clearly actively being updated, or they just don't do a lot of things. There's one that I may take a look at. So I may do Euro Truck with a real economy, but it may just be Euro Truck with Pro Mods, and then obviously, some of the other kind of environmental stuff, like the vehicle mods and the company, real companies, real gas stations type things that they have available. But that may be it. So because otherwise, it just felt too much like, okay, then you're just getting a ton of ATS, and if someone wants ETS, I've got nothing going on the channel for that. And it's not as if I don't enjoy ETS. I do enjoy it, and frankly, I haven't done enough of it in my head, because I keep getting kind of sucked back to ATS because it's what I know and it has more of the mods. So, obviously I've got more map expansions. Now there could be map expansions for Europe too, but Europe is so large because the game's been out for so long that it just doesn't have that same feel as ATS did, where I was yearning for looking for something, because once again, I don't think I want to go ahead and start something in Euro Truck, because the logical thing to add on would be Russia, because it's large, it's next door to what's there, but Russia's an official expansion that's coming out, probably, it's coming out at some point. It's been advertised since I've been playing ETS, going on probably a year or so, and therefore I'm assuming it's imminent. And so there's just not a lot of appeal to me to try to get something going with probably, again, a subpar version of Russia that's going to be something like the Canada mod. That great, it's a long distance, but there's nothing to see. And then just ultimately replace it with the SCS version. So my thought was just leave it. There's more than enough to keep me busy with what ProMods offers, and as they keep adding some new things, that'll give us some expansion of the map at some point. So, because even ProMods does a little bit. There's some Russian cities. It just obviously doesn't go across the country or very deep in.
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
So hopefully there's some excitement there. Alright, well, it lied. I'm supposed to keep right and actually exit. So again, that's why I look.
Go straight on.
So we are going to the US border. Alright, so that truck continued. So in theory, nobody's sneaking up on me. Just really was surprised that I ran into that one car with the double exit lane, because I just was not expecting him to be there. Okay, so we're at the point where we can rest. We certainly can get fuel. So I think next thing I see that gives me some of those options, I'm going to go ahead and do. Soda ash really isn't fragile, so I'm not going to slow down too much on these items, because that way I can move along. It's interesting they have a rest area going the other way, but they don't have one going this way. So, but in any event, I guess let me plan out a little bit what I'm going to do. We've discovered both the cities. I think going beyond Bangor is probably pushing it. In any case, I have to get off. So the question is, so Halton only has gas. I have 200 some miles of gas, so I can go this way. And then I could, theoretically, because I'm in town there, get that recruiting center discovered. Because the more of those I have, I'll certainly likely be hiring drivers, at least one, right away. So the more options I have, the better that will be as well. And there's probably a little bit more room to rest over in that one corner. I could be crazy, but I don't know. We'll see when I get there what it all looks like. Because obviously I do have to go get gas, but the other side, I think, is a truck headquarters, which we don't own, so therefore you can't rest there until you own it. And I don't know that, frankly, I've ever figured out how to rest in your garages anyway. I know in theory you're supposed to be able to, but I don't believe I've hit that trigger. It's like every time I pull in, it's wanting to do modifications to my truck, but it's not giving me the option to rest. So, but we have 215 miles still empty. So we're still, doing just fine. We're going to be at near 600 miles according to that. Like 560 or something is what it could get us to if I ran it all the way. Not planning on running it all the way. So a 10-speed gearbox, again, we are down to 5.5 miles per gallon, so our good initial start has been ruined by something. Because I'm also trying to figure out why I'm only going 65. I took another look at my my cruise control because I was a little concerned that maybe I was my own worst enemy there, but I'm not. I'm set at 75, which technically I should be set at 80 at this point. So, as light as we are, we should be able to achieve that. But no, I'm, definitely pretty excited about, the ideas I've got. So far, things are panning out well. I won't say that they're not a bit more of a challenge to kind of keep the pipeline full and with what I'm alternating with, but I also feel a little more interested in the fact that if I'm doing 2 trucking series, that they be in different games rather than both being in ATS. Because that'll also, frankly, make it a little easier for me to keep track of what I've got, because otherwise I may in the back of my head be like, oh yeah, I have stuff for the next episode in the next series, and then realize that, I ran a couple of these or something instead of, the other one, whatever it would be. So the other thing I did discover is I used to have a traffic mod, a realistic traffic mod that I used. That one has not been updated for 1.4.3, it appears. So that was on my Real Economy series, and when I first tried to load it, it just crashed upon load. Like, it wouldn't even get to the, wouldn't even fully load. It got basically halfway on the load bar and then just exited the desktop, and basically removing one mod at a time, I ultimately determined that it was the traffic mod. Then did some research and found out that yes, in fact, that was what was happening. Yeah, so there's definitely more room to rest over there.
Go straight on.
So I may go do that. There's not really a great method here. Nice little roadster, if I do say so. Alright, I think we're okay. So, it's a little early to rest, but makes more sense to do that now that I'm on this end than it does to come back. And yes, we get the added benefit of getting a recruiting center.
Let's find a new route.
And so if you've never done that with the truck simulators, basically the more recruiting centers you have, the more pages of candidates you get when you're hiring a driver. Is this really waiting for me? I don't like when it does this, because a lot of times, A, it doesn't leave you enough room, and B, they take off when you try to do that. So, but there you go, direct hire. It's going to tell me discovered a recruitment agency. And so it's not that you can just hire drivers up here, like it lets you hire drivers anywhere. Oh, this is just a motel. I didn't think it was going to be that. But usually there's a front and a back area.
Make a U-turn when possible.
So it should... There we go. Alright. I was going to say it should let me sleep up front here. Which it did. But, alright. So yes, I am going to make a U-turn because there's really nothing else there for me other than the Best Buy, which doesn't do me any good if I hit my hand on the steering wheel and then bang my chin, nearly knock my teeth out. Didn't mean to do that. That was not fun. It sounds more painful than it was, so don't feel too sorry for me. It was my own stupidity. But no, in any event, yeah, the recruiting agency isn't like, oh, I need to own, say, the garage here in Bangor. Doesn't work that way. It just, the more you have, the more you have to recruit from, because basically you're able to work on their whole network. So, going to get gas now because we are down to 126 miles. So definitely makes no sense to leave town and not have fuel, because we'd be in trouble.
Turn right.
Fuel truck in front of us there. There he goes, finally. It is a little bit busy. So yeah, I am, I can't say I'm not disappointed that I can't run a realistic traffic mod, but there doesn't appear to be anything that great to use, and maybe in the future I'll add one in, because it's something I'd certainly I'd want to experiment with separately rather than kind of do a live test. I'd rather not introduce mods I'm totally unfamiliar with, within reason. There's certainly things I'm willing to try where we're kind of, learning together, but those realistic mods can cause such havoc on your system and on performance and everything else that it's just not something that I want to do, where the other one worked pretty well. As I said, is what I may try, although I can probably very quickly try it and test for the one realistic economy mod in Europe, because if I can add that in, I can get kind of the best of both worlds, which is what I was really striving to do, because Europe certainly has a dense road network, just because of how populated Europe is and how small it is, in essence, compared to some of the vast stretches of North America. Alright.
Turn right.
So, so who knows? By the time I get to, start up the European series, it might still be a few weeks, and by then maybe I'll have had some time to test something, and I might suddenly be like, including a realistic traffic mod here as well. But the one that I do use, which works in both, or used to work in both Euro and American, is no longer being updated, so. And so the only way to run it, because I did look, like one of the comments to people was, well, just run your game in 1.41 until they update it. Well, at this point that would mean we were 2 versions behind, and there's not really a reason to be doing that. And then I've obviously got other mods that have been updated for 1.43 that might suddenly not work, and while the realistic traffic is nice, it's not like, not like the game is unplayable or something without it. I mean, actually, the traffic light thing is honestly more of an impact that I've found than the realistic traffic. Because part of the benefit of realistic traffic was just you didn't have the cars just kind of stopping out of nowhere, and traffic would clear a lot faster. But, you know, obviously there were more vehicles on the road there. And certainly running them together where I had the extended traffic light and realistic traffic worked really well.
Go straight on.
Let me just make sure. Yep, okay. So we're still in Maine, I believe. But as you can see, we're coming up on 500 miles of progress already. So certainly not a bad start. But we had a lot to talk about with the potential other trucking series that we can have. And at that point, I think that certainly kind of covers everything I normally play that I was thinking of doing something on the channel with anyway, so. But I'm hopeful that that variety attracts, you know, a larger community, that we get more people joining the Mature Simmer group, which will then mean there will be more chat going on in theory. Now, it's possible people will come in and kind of stick to their own niche and just be like, I'm just interested in the truck sim. I'm not going to look at the farm sim videos, whatever. But I would think, you know, similar to how I became interested, I started out with American Truck Simulator and then branched out to these others, because if you like simulation, in a lot of cases, the type of simulation is less than just a good solid simulation, and so the titles I'm using, I think, do a good job. I certainly enjoy them for being simulations, I guess. I'm trying to again think of some witty thing to say, but I mean that at the end is really it. So the one thing I will say, I mean, Train Simulator, which is the one that I'm least familiar with, that is newest to me, it seems to have the steepest learning curve of any of them, although I guess in hindsight, Farming Simulator was not the easiest thing to learn. But honestly, joining FSN very quickly, as I did after I discovered Farming Simulator, helped, because it gave me a lot of hours very quickly in the game, and then also had me playing multiplayer with people who could answer questions if I was confused on how things worked. So perhaps it seemed easier because of the added support network I had in that.
Go straight on.
So I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, American Truck Simulator, other than getting comfortable with backing things up appropriately, you know, it's driving, which I've done for decades, so I know how to drive vehicles pretty well, and then, you know, it was just a matter of learning the nuances, and I spent a long time like this in single player, so in fact, I'd say I do the majority. Well, I know I do the majority. There's very little multiplayer I do, because I don't have a large network of friends. Obviously, the VTC that we've got, in essence, theoretically gives you a group that you can reach out to. Hey, I'm going to be driving. Anybody want to jump on the Truckers MP and do something? But this one works nicely without necessarily collaborating, because other than, you know, following each other and driving together, it's not as if there's any gameplay elements that take advantage of that, where in Farming Simulator, there's a direct benefit. As if you want to see that, go look at my potato harvest video that came up in March of 2022 on the channel here, to see how I was harvesting at the start by myself, and then when I got help, what a difference that made. Because Farming Simulator truly lets you play in a collaborative mode that way in multiplayer, where you're actually helping each other directly succeed faster. But in Truck Simulator, it's not as if, because I'm following another truck, I'm suddenly getting my route done twice as fast. You could argue, hey, maybe I get better fuel economy, but I don't even know that the game does that. Like, hey, if I'm behind another truck and relatively close, do I get a little bit of a wind resistance benefit, and suddenly my miles per gallon goes up, a half a mile per gallon or something? I don't know. But that would be it. But either way, it's not going to get you there twice as fast. It just gives you someone to drive with. Alright, so here we are in Massachusetts. A drive again that we've done before many a time, but that's kind of the nature of trucking and of a simulation of trucking, is you're gonna frequent the same roads in a lot of cases, unless you're intentionally trying to do something new every time, regardless of pay or time or distance. But right, so definitely starting to fall into that mode of trance-like driving, because there's not a lot happening, not a lot of exits, not a lot of scenery.
Go straight on.
But doing the best we can. And for those watching, I guess, certainly a question for you is, once we do get to the owner-operator side of this series, would you prefer that I do shorter runs and just, have shorter episodes, and then maybe intersperse once in a while a long run, or don't do any long runs at all, just do short runs? Don't do any short runs, continue to do long runs? I don't know that, frankly, I would do that anyway. I'm definitely going to do some shorter runs, because there's no reason, but sometimes, when I say shorter, I mean 1,000 or a 1,500 mile run can still be shorter. So, it could be, we're coming up on 700 miles here, for example. Like, that could be what we do, and that's an episode. And that still gives us a lot of options. And as an owner-operator, obviously, we can then just, take off from where we got to. So it's not as if we can't cover different areas of the map, but it just avoids 3-4 hour long episodes, which I know some people do enjoy, but others might be more interested if there's something shorter, and that, is probably kind of going to be what I'll do. Because I think on the European side, even though I tend to not like to do the loans, I may make an exception for that, and I may go ahead and very quickly take out a loan and get myself a truck of some sort. And then it eliminates that pull of, it eliminates that pull of doing these just the longest runs I can to level up as quickly as I can, because it can become more of a, I just, went into business, bought my own truck, and I'm just working it, and when I'm able to suddenly have the skill to haul something else, great, but in the meantime I'm just moving things around Europe. So I think that will be the plan, and that may actually be, I may find that I enjoy that. I don't know. I've just honestly always done my series, that I've played myself. So I was more the profile. I mean, I really didn't have a series until I'm starting to put things on YouTube, but I would run a profile and then just always try to wait to buy any equipment until I had everything unlocked, and all of that just obviously takes some time and some similar play style. So I mean, to the point where I had figured out at certain points, like, what's the fastest way to level up, and basically did that over like a 8 to 10 load method. And so it was like, where do you put your skill points, where do you do those type of things. And so I had worked out what seemed to be the best plan, and in the past I've used that. In this series I did not. I just kind of threw caution to the wind to some degree and was like, I'm just going to expand the mileage, because I want to explore or cross, have as long a run as possible. And my challenge here was more, how long can I make my runs, which we basically determined was 4,000 miles. I mean, I think we had the one that was 4,400 or something, but that's pretty rare. Wow, we're just at 7:55. It seems like we've slowed down our process a bit, but I think once again, maybe if I've learned anything, it feels that way. But in the last video, I swore I was taking like an hour longer than the estimate, but when I put it together, I did say 3 hours and 8 minutes, and I think I'd be darned if the video didn't come in at basically 3 hours and 8 minutes. So that means we probably made it even a little faster. Alright, so we're in Hartford, Connecticut. Again, plenty of rest, plenty of distance, so a very different situation than we had with the last truck we were given, which is also part of why I am kind of at the point with this that I would love to just be driving my own vehicle, because at least I've got the control. If there's something I don't like, as long as it's changeable, I can then just go ahead and modify my truck for that. But normally I get things that can do pretty much any of the heavy loads while still not being ridiculous for mileage and capability with normal loads, but then put big fuel tanks on so that I'm minimizing the stops that I have to make, and that fuel doesn't become a driver, kind of like it was. Oh boy, this is coming up faster than I thought. Whoa, he's slowing down quite a bit. Okay. Well, we avoided any problems, but certainly lost momentum again. But yeah, we're at odometer-wise, this truck's coming up on 200,000. that is not a lot for a truck. It's just kind of a scary thought. But when it's a vehicle used for commercial purposes, yeah, they can make the components last longer because people are willing to pay more. Because again, you don't have a whole lot of people that are going to pay you $150,000 to $200,000 for a car. But when you have a tractor that you're going to be making money with and that you want to keep and eventually, run free and clear, you're willing to do that for reliability. So, alright, I think we're not yet to New York. I think that's one of the things, like, I've not traveled nor have I ever lived up in the Northeast, and so I understand the configuration of the states, but it's just interesting to me that and we did come from Canada. I mean, I do have to keep that in mind, but the point that we're coming up on 1,000 miles and we still haven't gotten to New York City. Although I think we're close. This might be the sign for, actually it's probably New Jersey, and then we hit New York for a brief point. No, this actually is New York. So there you go. So we might get there before we hit 900 miles, but still, that's a hunk of a way. Alright, I really should only be going 70, so. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Yep, so that's the point where we turn off to New York. So there's the supposed Kenworth dealer. Might be interesting at some point, and again, I can certainly do that as an owner-operator to take a run into New York. Just curious how they designed that here, if they spent some time on it or not. Alright, but yeah, we're at max speed at this point. And right, then we're going to turn right. I believe we're going to turn right, yeah. Right and right.
Keep right, and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
So, heading toward Pennsylvania. Go too fast because I don't really have time to pass them.
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Because I do want to
go straight on.
Go this way, so it's going to take me through, as it says, Cleveland and Chicago, so we will head up that way. Again, still going 70 at the top speed. It's like a water tower in a silo or something. So maybe a farmer pretty close here to the road. Not quite sure why he'd want his farm opening to this side, but yeah, we're on I-80, which turns into the Pennsylvania Turnpike through Pennsylvania. Hence its name. Just felt a little foolish after I said that, because clearly that would be what it is. think we've hit PA yet, and we'll see maybe when we do. There may be a bit of loosening up on the speed. Nice little walkway. I'm sure I made the same comment when I came through here last time, because there's frankly very little to comment on, so when you see something, you get all excited. There we go. Pennsylvania. I like being welcomed. It's very nice of them. Alright. But once again, if we're going on this route and we're heading through Nebraska and so forth like we did before, we don't really hit anything until eastern Ohio as far as the Midwest expansion map, so we've got a ways to go still. Probably at least another 600 or 700 miles. But then once we hit the Midwest expansion map, at that point we're either in that with some at least dense towns, not necessarily any difference in scenery. Okay, we've got 6 hours, 200 miles.
Go straight on.
I'm gonna take a chance on the gas. I think I'm okay. Hope I won't be proven wrong like I was up in Canada. But it seemed to do a little better here in the US, so. No, if nothing else, there's just the challenge with these long runs. As you might imagine, like anything, it's just a long time in the seat and a long time playing the game to get through this. And certainly, if I was to break it up into segments like normal runs, and just say that I would have been done a few hundred miles ago, all that really creates is a situation where, as I'm trying to get episodes out to you, I run the risk of not being able to kind of keep up with the pace, and I don't know that there's any huge benefit to having over 3,000 mile runs. Because realistically, I don't know there's a whole lot of truck drivers that do that as like their sole result. I think that would just be a lot, but again, maybe not. Maybe people, because in reality, obviously, they're breaking their day apart either way. They're driving however many hundreds of miles, and then they're sleeping overnight. The only difference is if they're local drivers, they're obviously sleeping at night at home all the time in their own bed versus in the sleeper of the truck or cheap hotel or whatever it is. Again, that giant spire of mountain in Pennsylvania just always makes me laugh a little bit how they did that here, but I can go 75, so don't know how long I've had that capability and not noticed it, but probably since I was in Pennsylvania. Alright, so we've crossed 1,000 miles driven. But yeah, getting to the point where I will have to stop for a bit anyway. I'm frankly ready to stop already, but I'm kind of pushing myself to keep going, because you've heard this over and over again. The long runs, I need them for the points, but they're hard. Be lying if I said they weren't.
Go straight on.
And the variety, going back to the different series, just being able to intermix Europe and the US, I think will also be a bit invigorating for me too. Because at this point, this is probably the 17th episode. And, after the first 4 or 5, I think we were already on runs like this, so it's been at least 10 episodes that have been lengthy 3 or 4 hour marathons to get done, and that I do tend to try to power through, and that just gets exhausting. Alright, still at 70, just checking as I'm slowly closing in on what looks like a police SUV, but may just be an optical illusion. And it usually is. Most of the time I'm honestly terrible at finding them. Oh, that's great. Remember, I didn't stop because I said I'd take a chance. Am I going to regret that now? Maybe not. I would hope that's not more than 100 miles away, because I still have 100 miles. Oh, that is a police SUV. I wish he hadn't pulled in front of me, but running into him isn't the solution. Not that running into a non-police car is the solution. I just get in more trouble, obviously, for running into a police car. I am covering the brake in case he does some stupid AI thing, but hoping we just get to our exit before we have to worry about any of that. But now he's out of the way. He might slow down and let us by him. I don't know. But obviously we have filled. We have gotten fuel once, so it's not like we haven't stopped, but we've almost got 5 hours till we have to rest. It's obviously only 4 in the afternoon, so it would be a little crazy to stop at, say, 5 p.m. or even 6 p.m., which is hopefully the latest that we get to that rest stop. Alright, down to 65 miles till empty. Traffic is definitely getting a bit more congested here late in the afternoon. I guess you could say maybe it's rush hour traffic, but don't know. Alright, yes, I'm in my trance a little bit. Gotta be close. They just keep pulling out. This is almost like real driving, where they're sitting there and then just as we start getting close, they decide, oh, I'm going to cut over. Although I am pleasantly surprised he didn't cause me any problem. Alright, now we're down to 42 miles. Now it's getting a little nerve-wracking. So I was hoping that I was seeing it when we came around that turn, but clearly I'm not. But come on, it's got to appear on the mini-map or we're going to be in trouble. Not what I really wanted. To the right. We are down to 24 miles now. I think I see the bridge up there. Maybe that was just an optical illusion. It's right there. 20 miles. Are we gonna make it? It's gonna be really, really close, I'll tell you that. 15, 14. It's really gonna come down to, is it gonna continue to eat miles on these roads the same way, or will it slow down? Because now it's at 9.
Go straight on.
8. Still 8. So I'm hopeful.
Let's find a new route.
7.
Turn left.
I'm glad I didn't have to stop, because just that acceleration could be enough.
Reroute.
Definitely gonna, well, I'm not actually going to sleep yet.
Never mind. I'll find a new route.
Alright,
Make a
5
U-turn.
miles, so I think we're okay.
Finding
4
a new route.
miles.
When possible, make a U-turn.
Alright, we made it. Yeah, it's only 3.5 to rest, but it's way too early to rest, because again, we'd be taking off at 3 a.m. Alright, but this is the first time we'll fill, I think. 7:16. Maybe we didn't fill before, now that I think about it. Yeah, I don't know. But we had to have. I mean, we didn't go 1,000 miles on our run there. All right. I see. In theory, this is a one-way.
Go straight on.
All right. So we're gonna go
Get ready.
left.
Turn left.
So we're down to 42 hours and 7 minutes
Turn
of
left.
driving. So, not a lot, but not a little. So, back on, try to speed up. It'll be one of those, you know, we'll just get up to speed, we'll have to stop at a way station, although we're again on a part of the map that doesn't appear to give us a lot of those, so not complaining, that's not a bad thing, but yeah, still, so we have settled in at about 5.5 miles to the gallon. Continue for a little bit, maybe until you need to rest, and then I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a break. So, we continue? Yes. Alright, so let me just take a look. Go through, so yeah, we are taking that same route straight through Nebraska and so forth, so
Get ready to exit right.
so he's lying to us. We're not
Exit
exiting right. And then it doesn't say rerouting, which shows us that he didn't want us to exit right, but he was trying to confuse us. Or, well, he being the GPS, obviously it's a female voice, but clearly I've been playing too long. I'm starting to get a little goofy. yeah, the reality is I need like 2 more sessions of this length, so we got a long way to go. But we're now in Ohio. Well, not quite yet, but there's the sign. Two hours and 13 minutes. So the question is, yeah, I probably need to... I'll have to see what it looks like at this intersection. I may have to circle around and go into Cleveland, because I'm thinking that's too far away, but maybe not. But yeah, the reality is Cleveland's about 90 miles from the border, but I don't know that that's really how it's scaled here on the map. Because if it is, then that's likely a couple hundred miles to the rest area, and that would be not something I can do in 2 hours, because we're not going 100 miles an hour. So yeah, I think if we're at an hour or less by the time we get to that intersection, I have little choice but to cycle around and go up into Cleveland. Which actually, oh no, we had discovered it, so I was going to say that would be good, because then we'll get that discovery, but I guess that one's a big enough trigger point. Yeah, these solar farms on hills is definitely interesting. But, you know, we've got a little bit of life in the map, in that we now at least have high tension lines. It's not simply trees. We've got, you know, concrete center divider. So looking a little more lived in than we had before.
Get ready to exit right.
Alright, now this is... yeah, so I don't think this is even where we would head to Cleveland. Yeah, this is the early one. So now we're at an hour and a half. I'm semi kind of committing to continuing to the rest area, because at this point it's like we'd be double backing, because now I'm kind of driving by where I then would go up and go back to. It would have almost made more sense to head north, but and then, you know, and then come around that other way, but because I don't think we'll be below an hour when we hit that intersection, but we're going to be real close. Yep, so, yes. We are tired in both realms, the virtual realm and the physical realm. It's not that late, but this has worn me out. So we are now committed, an hour and 5 minutes, but we are past that interchange too, so that's a good thing. But we can go a little past. Again, it's not like gas, where when it runs out, so I've got a little bit of time past that time before I get fined. So I don't think we're 2 hours away from that point. Is kind of what made me say I'm just going to keep going, because it also keeps me moving in the direction I need to be going. We're heading up to Cleveland. There would just be a detour that just adds distance. But we're still doing okay, 45 minutes. So time's not ticking away too fast. I'm not sure if the rest area's in those trees or they're just trees. They might just be trees, because I think at this point we'd be seeing what's there. Oh, no, I guess not. It is there. So we're going to make it with plenty of time. And we can even top off fuel just to give ourselves the best chance for everything. But we still have over 500 miles. But yeah, we're down to 33 minutes on the rest front. So, but we only needed a quarter of a tank of gas. So, there you go. It's about a 160-gallon tank, it looks like. And we'll turn in here. And we will try to rest.
Ready to roll.
All right, we are ready to go. So, let me go this way. That might help. Not gonna make it. Let's see. Such a big nose. It makes it difficult. But this should get me clear. Alright. And again, nothing coming. Well, that's not entirely true. There is something coming, and because they tend to just fly through the gas pumps. They just kind of pretend they're getting gas, which is always a bit of a entertaining prospect. Alright. Sorry, I was just trying to get everything operating again. So, yeah, I didn't really notice until now. We've had like the last several loads have been from the same originator to the same receiver. So this is BNSF to BNSF, so we're going from the rail yard to the rail yard with the soda ash. So maybe we're just transmitting it and then it's getting back on a train or something. Came from a train, getting back to a train. 'Cause it sounds like coal or something else, like something that would be. That's what I think it is. I think if you use coal and soda ash, I think that's how you make steel. So I think soda ash is used in making steel, or one of the main uses. I'm sure there's multiple uses, but alright, so I'm trying to recall. Yeah, that's right. We were at the rest area west of Cleveland, so we're still in Ohio. And then obviously we'll be heading into Indiana and Illinois, Iowa, and then Nebraska. So hopefully in this session I can get maybe to Nebraska. Because yeah, we're in Toledo, so that is the other side of Ohio, probably about 100 miles from the border on the other side. Oh, I guess there was a bit of an uphill there. I didn't realize that. But yeah, we're kind of getting a little bit later and later because I'm unable to push it, although I should be able to get closer once I get out of the coast-to-coast map, because there are rest areas more often. It's normal to see them every hour, hour and a half. So I can probably push it a bit there. But this wasn't too terribly bad as far as the timing, but yeah, it's telling me in real time still an hour and 55 minutes, so we've got a ways to go, and so you don't have to do the math. 2,203 miles until we arrive. So I guess we could say a little over a third of the way there. But this is then the part of the map that I talked about, that like once we're past Toledo, that's where it started to look like there were more cities and so forth, although still on this northern end. It's still a little bit sparse. And yeah, I'll be curious how frequently things change on these. They may just be like 6 months a year. It may not change that often. Because even when ProMods does stuff, I know a lot of the times they're just releasing a new version to be compatible with a new version of the game. They're not really adding things, but they have talked about like certain things that are being worked on, but it does sound like it takes quite a bit of work. So, and obviously none of these folks are really getting paid, so they're doing it when they have time, and so who knows how often that can be. The challenge, I'm sure, like with any of these, is if it doesn't get done by whoever's working on that stretch, it's probably difficult or impossible to find someone to pick it up and finish it. So it's kind of like there may be things that were in the works that then just kind of hang and never get resolved. Because clearly, like, Michigan was done, because that one looks like it has quite a bit, but this kind of northern part of Indiana, northern Ohio, obviously there wasn't a lot of dedication to that space. So yeah, this car is not gonna move, and then of course that means we're coming up on some other trucks, which is also, I think, why it's not going to move, but I'm set to 80 here because we could certainly do that without getting any kind of a ticket, but it's not a RAV4. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those like little fake SUVs. He's out of my way now, so that's alright. Alright, I had something with onions for dinner, and I just touched my eye, and now it burns, so I'm guessing I had a little bit of onion on my onion something, remnants. Ooh. Like driving with one eye, so if I start running off the road, that's going to be my excuse. Yeah, in this area it kind of looks like more just trees. Where obviously, like when we did Mid-Atlantic in Virginia the other way, that was pretty cool. Yeah, the other thing I was doing when I was selecting a route this time, you may have somewhat noticed it. I didn't even talk about the ones that went down into Mexico. I just did not want to deal with another Mexico run here at this point. What I'm hoping, though, is I may be able to do something substantially shorter to get me to 30, because, like I said, I think we need like 12,000, and I think this is going to still get us 8 something. You know, because once again, this isn't a hazmat thing, so we're not going to get any anything special there. So we're not going to suddenly get an additional 1,000 XP like we did last run because of the nitrocellulose, but I could then potentially find a short hazmat that gives me some bonus and, you know, take something that's 3,500 XP, which wouldn't require that much, because if it's something that's urgent and so forth, you know, I might be able to do a 1,500 mile run and get myself enough points. So the good news is, even if I have to do another run, I think we're done being mandated, per se, to do these. But like I said, I am leaning a little bit toward, just for my own changes, because like I said, every time I bought a truck, I've driven a Freightliner just because I've liked it. But just like, you know, I'm talking about, you know, with ETS taking out a loan and immediately getting a truck, and I won't be able to do it like right away because I think you have to run a load or two and stuff. But, you know, once the bank loans open up beyond a certain amount, and depending on really what I do, because if I can find something, if I decide I want to do the realistic mod, like it makes sense potentially to do just a simple day cab. So like when they only give you 100,000 loan, like that might work, because I think you get day cabs for like 70 or 80,000. So if I'm just doing short hauls to get going, the problem will be obviously then, you know, being able to get any further. But alright, which way do we go?
Go straight on.
Do we really? I just want to make sure. We probably do, but yep, okay. I was a little worried because I'm like, that is taking a while to spin up, but that was probably because there's a million things on the map there. But good news is, I think this is our 3rd episode after we have applied those 2 fixes, which was the huge combo map patch and the different background file. And we haven't had any crashes to the desktop from the map, so I believe we might have put that to bed, and so we may have a stable version that I can use, whether it's here or something else in the future.
Go straight on.
So once again, if people get a little, you know, if they're kind of like, hey, the coast to coast is supposed to be coast to coast, and now you're buying a truck and you're not going coast to coast anymore, like in one run, do something else, you know, then maybe I'll kill this and do the ATS realistic mods and then ETS. So I'm kind of open to whatever, because to me it's like I'm driving one way or the other.
Straight on.
So I'm not always beholden to continuing in the same profile. I'm fine starting up another or whatever.
Go straight on.
Trying to figure out, I think we went through here, because it was weird that little piece was undiscovered, but I'm like, did we add the Midwest expansion since we went through here?
Left. And then continue straight on.
May have. I don't know. I guess we'll see. If we start seeing more of those, then obviously that's the case, but although I'm wondering if that was simply because I hadn't quite gone this way when we came towards Chicago. Maybe I had then headed north or was heading from the south. I don't know. Because I think when I went across here before, because that's when we discovered Kearney and stuff, which I think was in the Midwest expansion already, so I don't know why that one segment was missed. Does not really honestly matter, but People here do that too, where we've got a 3-lane road and then they decide they're going to drive down the middle just to give themselves more flexibility or something, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but obviously makes sense to lots of other people because way too many people do it. A little bit of an uphill, we're slowing down. But yeah, definitely, again, in case you missed my question before, definitely, looking for comments for those who watch these. Once I become an owner-operator, would you prefer shorter runs so that the episodes are substantially shorter? Or are you all about make them, if you're going to do them, make them long? I mean, either way, I know I'm going to do a few shorter runs anyway, but I certainly want to give folks what they're interested in seeing. And if 4-hour runs are what everybody says they want, I can try to keep doing it, but then the reality is probably that I may not have the same frequency because I may end up starting to do them in short segments. Because the reality is I probably have an hour. I can do an hour, hour and a half a lot easier than I can do more than that. So, that's kind of what I need to plan is my gaming window. And so if I want to start and finish a run and then be able to give you an episode, they kind of need to fit in those parameters. If I start getting beyond that, then it basically means I'm taking multiple sessions, exactly as I am here, to pull everything together. And then that means, if I do those sessions over several days, then suddenly, where I could have gotten 3 episodes out, I may be getting 1 out because I don't think anyone's interested. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming people don't want to see hour-long episodes and have 3 episodes be one trip. Where basically each session I turn into an episode, but then we pick up mid-drive, so that basically what you would have seen is like when I stopped at the rest stop, that would have been the end of an episode, and then this run here where I'm taking off till I decide, I can't continue anymore, and 30 minutes, 40 minutes is probably what I have left. Then that would be the next one. And if I did that, I could, more easily keep things up and get you things more frequently, but I'm assuming that's not as fun to watch, because if you are kind of going and then want to see it end, it doesn't have that closure in the episode of, hey, this is this run, which is obviously why I've been doing them together, because in my head it doesn't make sense. I don't know that I would watch pieces like that, because it's not like, it's not like I can do something with the story and like leave you with a cliffhanger. He stopped at a rest area. What's going to happen tomorrow? Tune in next time to find out. I'm going to still be driving down the road. It's not like you don't know what's coming. So but anyway, so yeah, feedback is always good. Wow, that is a pink car. I don't know that I've seen I'm sure I have seen a pink car in here, but I think I was commenting about Mary Kay at one point in one of these episodes, so probably means I saw a pink car in the last 15, 16 episodes, so, but still, they're rare. How about that? Okay. Does look like that's where I need to go, because the road to the left has not been taken, and I'm not going anywhere new, so Hopefully this Sinclair truck, I think that's what it is, keeps moving. Whoa, I didn't see him. Yeah, they kind of have a distinctive color pattern with those Sinclair trucks, so. Exit 4, so we're either at the border or we just crossed the border. So we're 390 miles till empty, almost 10 hours, so no reason to stop here. But obviously there's a town. If I am taking shorter runs, alright, so this must be Iowa's border. Yep. There we go. But yeah, if I'm taking shorter runs, it'll be easier to discover more places, because that's what'll happen when I'm doing that. Tour East. That is a very non-original name. This is like, I'm wondering if Walcott, Iowa, if there is really some mega rest area there, because that's in essence what this is some gigantic truck stop that they've laid out.
Go straight on.
I'm sure one of these days I would have the opportunity to travel that way as we maybe vacationed out west, but I doubt I'd remember, hey, I want to check out Walcott, Iowa. Not gonna happen. Maybe if I was younger somehow it would stick, but older and as much stuff as I really gotta keep track of, that's not a fact or a data point that's gonna stick in my head, because also the probability of it really getting done and having the opportunity is not in anything that I'm even remotely thinking about at this point. Because right now, if we do go out west, well, when we do go out west should really be our thing, because we are definitely wanting to do that. The only thing that would stop us is things beyond our control. So we do have plans to go there, but you know, we'd be looking at stuff like the Badlands and Yellowstone, and those things are all north. I wouldn't be going through Iowa to get there. So I'd be heading up toward Minneapolis and going over that way. You can see the Corn Palace in Mitchell. That's fun. Wall Drug, all that stuff. See Sturgis when it isn't Sturgis Rally Week, because it's crazy when it's Sturgis Rally Week, but it's usually a fun crazy, but still not one. It would add lots and lots of time to our travels, and when it's real life and I really have a set amount of time, I'd be even more impatient, because we're not really going for that, so losing an hour or two or more to kind of see a lot of motorcycles parked and people walking around, not necessarily a trade I'd make. Looks like a little Chevette or something, but since I do like the traffic packs, because they're definitely, they give you enough visual variety that you can feel like there's something to mention, because you're not seeing the same 30 or 40 models like you have in the base game. Might be more than that, might be less than that, I don't know. But I know there's hundreds in the traffic packs, and again, that's per vehicle type, so we're probably at 1,000 or so varieties of things we can see at any given time in traffic. So we got a Honda, I'm guessing that's like a Honda Accord. And I'm sure the vehicles can also then be different colors, so there's probably the Honda Accord, which is, yeah, the shape of the car, but then maybe it comes in 10 different colors, so if you had all the color possibilities along with the make and model possibilities, we're easily into the thousands, I'm sure. So I'm sure I can see another GMC truck or another Honda Accord, and they'll be different colors, and that would be cool. Because even in real life, I'll sometimes see the same make and model, but they'll be different colors, and sometimes they'll be the same color. This weekend we went, and my mother-in-law's got a red Jeep, and we pulled up where we were going, and it's like, is that her car? And then we saw her car was in a driveway instead, so they were literally the same, except one was a sport and one was not, so. But they could have been literally the same model, but they weren't. There was a little bit of a variation. But not enough that as I was pulling up, I realized it, because the body shape's pretty much the same, so. I think it's just a little bit with the exhaust and more like things you can't see, like the suspension and so forth. Alright, 271, so not a reason to stop again. I don't remember what town this is. Alright, but whatever town it is. Okay, so this is Des Moines. So we're basically at the halfway point. So 50% of the way. So you can kind of assume that the same amount of time it took me to get here, if you look at your video timing, that's probably what we got left. Because there's not a whole lot of extra speed somewhere else. In fact, once we get to California,
Go straight on.
we're going to go down to 60, so. But yeah, I need to slow down to 75 here, because Iowa clearly is not as fast as the road was before. I think Des Moines is kind of in central Iowa, so probably have a little bit to go yet. But Nebraska's pretty wide, so I know it takes about 3 hours to get to the center there, so. But the good news is I will get to Nebraska in this session, so that was the goal. I may even get past Nebraska, which would be awesome, but maybe not. Maybe we'll just end up stopping somewhere in Nebraska. Western. Ooh, a Greyhound. I don't know that I've seen a Greyhound bus in the game. That's awesome. That's cool. I always see Farland or whatever it is, which I don't even know that that's a real bus company. So, and the reality is, yes, I've driven the center of the country a bit. You definitely do have the highway hypnosis where the roads are just kind of straight, nothing much going on. So there's lots of accidents they have where people just fall asleep and drive off the road and get injured, or injure their car at a minimum. So I'm falling into a little bit of that trance myself here, doing the drive across Iowa. The only thing that's missing is the never-ending corn. So, what else? I don't know. Flat out of ideas. Where sometimes, like if I knew I'd have enough people in a live stream or something, sometimes that might make this a little less monotonous, I guess, because we could be chatting and people could be sending me things to talk about, things they want to hear about, but not what we're doing. And yeah, when I did the one live stream I did early on for the 100 subscribers, I think we had 2 people show up, maybe 3, so it's probably pretty good for a 100 subscriber channel, but hard to make it entertaining or worthwhile at that level. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna break that magic 1,000 number at some point, and obviously keep going after that. But so I know some other channels also have like Discords and other things, mainly Discords. I mean, I don't really do Twitter and stuff like that, so I probably wouldn't be very responsive on that because it's just not something I regularly do anyway. But I'm on Discord for other things, so I've debated setting up some sort of a channel, but it just seems like we're such a tiny community. I just don't know that there's enough going on. And I also feel like I just frankly don't have enough going on things. I'm not as active as some of those folks who basically turn this into their job, and I'm not in a position to do that, so nor do I think I'd honestly be happy doing nothing but YouTube. I do plenty of it as it is, as I'm sure you guys see. You know, doing a video a day is technically a video a day plus, because I do certain things like the mods worth noting that I make sure I get out, and if I see a map on Farming Simulator that I like, I'll do an off-cycle video there, and just when I'm done, it appears. So there, you know, there's things there that then aren't on the schedule, but then show up and are in addition to it. So, but yeah, one sort. Whoa, nice weird movement of the sky there. Clouds kind of shaking. That would be a weather phenomenon that I think the phones would be ringing off the hook if that happened in real life. I would certainly be a little curious what had happened. Alright, we now are back up to 75. Oh, I kind of forgot about fuel. That's not a good thing. I've just been on autopilot. Alright, so we're stopping in Lincoln for fuel, at least. Again, we got 5, almost 6 hours to rest, so we don't need to stop for that, but I am not going past Lincoln. I'm with only 100 miles. That would be fuel suicide. There's no way I'm going to make it to the next place. It's going to be hard enough to make it to this place, so. Although I think Lincoln and Omaha, if I remember, are like 40 or 50 miles apart, so hopefully it won't really be a problem. We already passed one of these. Safeway, I think. I don't know, it says ingredients for life, but I'm used to Safeway being a grocery store, but maybe it's something else too. That ships, you know, raw material versus just grocery store stuff. They might be a food producer by that name. Oh, I think this is the same reaction I had. Whoops, I wasn't expecting the light. I think I did the same thing. As you can see, I've already discovered that fuel station. And then I'm sure I just came right back to the highway, just like I'm going to do here. But I will press on a little bit. This would be a convenient place to stop, but then it's going to leave a really, really large next session because we still have over 1,600 miles to go, and that's just a bit too much to do. You know, I mean, if that was my entire run, it might be a one sitting possible once in a while, but that's pretty much the limit of a real session, unless I'm just really doing the marathon run and have all kinds of energy to do it. And with the hope of maybe wrapping this thing either tonight or tomorrow morning. 1,600's too long. I'd really prefer to get it down to 1,200, but I don't know that I have enough time to do that. But it won't be for lack of trying. Because at this point, to get to that, I don't need to fill up gas again. And resting should be easy enough, as long as I don't have to pull off and take 5 minutes to get there. Which is the other reason stuff like this is convenient. I was gonna say, he's coming onto the double line and then they like wiggle all over the place, so I'm gonna just pull out.
Go straight on.
So at least we got through here, but clearly we just missed the arrow, so we're gonna have to wait through some cycles. And this again with the bull nose, gotta be careful because we're further away than you would think, but it's just so hard to judge. It's interesting, he like stopped but then kept going. I was wondering if they were going to do the same thing. I'm like, are they stopping or are they not? That was just weird. Gonna spend all the time I have left at the light. Come on. Needs better sensors or something. Obviously nobody's even getting off the interstate, so we're sitting here for nothing. Alright, well at least we hit the 20 before it slowed us down, so I was able to put it in cruise, so I don't have to keep my foot on the gas up the hill here. I can let it do its own thing. And we are back on the road. Walgreens. I don't know why I said it that way, like it's the most exciting thing in the world, but there you go. I had some people once in a while complain I was too monotone for them, so hopefully that change of voice tone and inflection gets you all excited. But this is kind of the monotone landscape, so I'm kind of trying to stay in character. Aren't I funny? But let's get up to speed. Let's go 80. No way station. But 5 hours to rest, so again, kind of once I get... Oh, I'm still on the coast-to-coast map, though. That's the danger. I don't know that I'll be off of it in 5 hours, so I'm not sure I can ignore the next rest stop, but it's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's way too early. I think the next time is going to be a 2-sleeper, whatever it is. But we'll have to see, because let's see, if I do 4 p.m., that would be 2 a.m. and then noon. So yeah, it's almost like I'd need to do it now. Although I guess going like noon to 10 or noon to 9 is not too bad.
Go straight on.
Really not sure. I guess we'll see. And hopefully it'll just get close, and, you know, because at this point, you know, it would be 7 p.m., which is not a bad time. I just don't think I can count on it and stretch it that far. Again, I do have an hour or so grace before I get flagged with a sleeping fine. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it would be nice to get it at the tail end, you know, with maybe at most an hour to go. Which obviously means we need to drive for quite a bit yet. At least another, what? Trying to think. Because that is 4 hours. It's about 3 seconds. It's usually about 3 seconds a minute. You know, a game minute. So that means we're doing 20 minutes every real minute. So
Go straight on.
to go, what, 4 hours would be like 12, 15 minutes. So I could make it. So the timing could work out perfectly for when I need to stop. I obviously just went by that spot. Babbling away, I didn't even realize there was an exit and a rest area there. But anyway, I've got 4 hours, so we don't have to be stopping there. I would have kept going anyway, even if I had noticed it. Because really, until I get below 2, I'm just not compelled to stop. It's just hard to get excited about that. But however I do it, I've got one more time to rest, at least after this. Can't make it in one more, so yet another reason to push on as much as possible, because it gets us more likely to be able to split that appropriately. Because right now, if I had to split it, I'd need 13 hours each time, which means I'd have to rest with an hour left at the other end. Alright, so we're central Nebraska. Here's Kearney.
Go straight on.
But I think we're okay. And we might actually make it out of Nebraska in 3.5 hours, and certainly in the 4.5 hours that I would have to go all the way to penalty time, or close, you know, as close as I'd dare. So I think we should be able to get out of this state. Assuming I can find a rest area somewhere near there, that would be great. But it does help that, you know, we're able to go 80 here, so that's a godsend for sure. This Bahamas air everywhere, it's always interesting. You would think that they'd be like near the airport in the Bahamas, like moving cargo around. Not up here in Nebraska, but again, it's random truck generation, and Bahamas Air is in there for some reason, so
Go straight on.
we have it. yeah, I think on the map Lexington was the next town to Kearney, so we've just basically gone from one town to the next. Nothing terribly magnificent. Still wanting about 300 miles before I'd prefer to be stopping for the session, but I don't know that I'm going to make it that far because I really technically have got about 10 minutes. It's a long way. Although we are going 80, so let's be hopeful. Do. It's Jeopardy time. Alright. We turn again. I assume we cross 30. Sure looks like we will. If not, we're going to get awfully close to it unless it turns away from us, which it can do. It's a road just like we are and just like we're turning. We're not a road. We're on a road. That would be a really boring game if you were just a road, wouldn't it? Just kind of sat there, watched people roll over you. I don't understand. I don't know what kind of game that would be. A really boring one. Probably one that wouldn't last very long. Again, clearly signs that I'm petering out because I'm just saying stupid stuff. Alright, 2 hours, 45 minutes. We're going to keep going. Keep going. I got faith. 177, is that how far we are from the border? Let's remember that, 177. There's a recruitment center to discover there. But we'll see if we remember what the next exit is. Denver's definitely in Colorado. This doesn't help. Really? The left lane slows down? What is happening? Oh my goodness. So much for good progress. I so love the AI. Did I tell you I love the AI? And of course it's piling more cars in here, so it's just gonna make it 10 times worse. Oh yes, you need to head over here. That other car better sit there. Yes, I'm going to drive that police officer crazy. See, there's Farland as the bus. That's the ones I'm used to seeing. Those always show up. That Greyhound was a gem. Something I don't see a lot. Ogallala. Alright, so now we're at 2 hours. Now probably the next thing I come across, I've got to seriously consider. I'm just drawing a complete blank of what to share with you and what to talk about. So I'm definitely just hoping you're enjoying the scenery at this point, or just the hum of the engine. There's like some grass floating up in the air next to us, being back there for a bit. I was getting ready to comment about it, and then it vanished and went to the ground. Which is where it should be, so it's okay. I'm okay with it going to the ground. I don't want it to continue to be weird. but it was weird. So I don't know what else to say.
Keep right, and then turn right.
Oh, am I going up that way? I am. Alright, so we are breaking off in a new direction. And I think Cheyenne is going to be our place. So, heading up to Wyoming. Not a bad thing. So, somewhere new. Well, not new. I've been on the Wyoming map before for ATS, but you know what I mean. It's new for us here, so more discoveries. We did get over 12%, so we are slowly creeping up. And obviously Cheyenne will be on the SCS. We may already be on the SCS map, I don't know.
Go straight on.
And then we'll rest there, because yeah, we have an hour and a half, so we're definitely going to be later. But yeah, at this point we might be coming off the coast-to-coast map soon. I'm kind of looking for a Wyoming sign. It's possible we missed it already, but we'll see how it all plans out. Hour and 15, that's why we yawned again. You better move. It's got such a pathetic horn. Come on, move over. You gotta move over. Alright, I'm at the point where I should be wrapping, but I will get myself to Cheyenne and stop. Tow truck. Walbert. Why Walbert? I want to see Walmart, not Walbert. Just interesting how it's kind of, you know, it has real companies, but then it doesn't have them, so I don't know. And I know I've seen Walmart trucks in here, so just might be, again, the way the maps are combined, or maybe I need to move the traffic stuff up higher? I'm not sure. I guess I can try that. I'm just worried it might cause a problem. Ooh, it's like dually wheels on that bus. That's weird. And I think they like just appeared. Alright, we're down to 45 minutes, so we're definitely getting close here. We are pushing the envelope. But once again, we can go a little past, so I'm confident we'll be there. And this does not look like SCS map stuff, so I'm thinking we're still on SCS. Or on SCS, on C2C. Just using all these acronyms, so. But yeah, until we start seeing some kind of hills and whatever, like what Wyoming would kind of look like. Although on this side of Wyoming it might be flat, but it isn't going to look like this, so this would not be SCS's version of it. Just I thought Cheyenne was a little ways in from the border, so I am frankly a little concerned, because if it is, then we may have further to go than I thought. And that does jeopardize our ability, because we are now under 20 minutes. I'm seeing smokestacks, though. So that likely means that there are places that we can deliver, which likely means that would be a city with exits. So maybe where the pavement changes, maybe now we're on. Really? We're gonna have this now? Alright, Cheyenne discovered. Thank goodness. I was like, don't block the exit for me. I don't need that. Oh, we've got a truck dealer. Might as well discover it. We know it's not the one we want, but maybe it'll be a Kenworth or something. And although I would think it would say Kenworth because all the others have, so. But we can rest there, so it's actually a good place to go. Either that or it's a viewpoint, but I don't think so. Yeah, yes, I know. I was gonna say I had the turn signal on, but thinking the viewpoint's ahead of me. Either way, it's probably gonna... Why does it say I-80 up there? Maybe it's 180.
Turn right.
There you go. Discovered new viewpoint. Alright, and that's that, because I just wanted to make sure it wasn't where I was headed, because I'm like, I think where I'm headed is a truck dealer, but
And then continue straight on.
might not be. Volvo. So there you go. Another Volvo. I think I found more Volvos than I ever have. They're like everywhere in my discoveries.
Turn right.
But we are down 2 minutes. And then
I'll find a new route. Make a U-turn.
no, I'm gonna relax. Then I'll make a U-turn. Alright. So the good news is 1,233 miles. We're about what I feel is reasonable to try to shove through the straw in the future. It should hopefully give me something soon, because... I was gonna say, these are SCS stops, so they should be better. Alright. Time to get moving. Obviously it's a bit early, but this is kind of what we're running into.
Make a U-turn. Turn left. Turn right.
Alrighty, so we should be heading back to the interstate at this point.
Ready to turn left.
Unless it takes me a slightly different route, but I can't imagine it will.
Keep left and then turn left.
Alright, so we got the
Turn
Frito-Lay's van. But heading back to I-80. And the hope then is that this last session will get us there, and we'll see how close we are to getting everything taken care of at that point.
Keep right and then turn right. Turn right.
So yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll be right there. Yeah, that Frito-Lay's van is definitely seen it a few times, but never really gotten to take a nice look at it. It's definitely a nice model with all the potato chips on the side and pretty neat. So we gotta get through Wyoming, probably Utah, and then California should be it. But we've got about 1,200 miles. But obviously we've got to get all the way through Wyoming. So let's see how this all plays out at this point. So I actually don't have my sim dashboard up right now. So I'm not entirely sure where we are on. I think that gets me to 80, but we'll see. Alright, I'm assuming that means we just keep going, because yeah, that'd be Fort Collins, Colorado. Don't want to be going there.
Keep left.
But at this point, 80 oh, that would be if there's, I see if there's snow. If the snow barriers are down, which I assume doesn't ever happen in the game. Because in base ATS there is nothing like that. No blizzards or no snow. I know there's mods to create snow, but yeah, we should get a good segment of, because I think at this point, other than crossing some roads that we've been on, this should all be new stuff. I see, I was a little confused what was happening, but I think because of the, which would have been why the snow road would have been closed, is we're in this area now of pretty steep incline. Alright, looks like I'm past that, so I'll head over here. But good news is the rest of this now is in SCS maps, so these will all be more fleshed out. Obviously it's early now. Thing I won't be able to tell with the dashboard either is just how close I am to being able to make it in one day. And I'll also have to kind of keep an eye on the actual fuel gauge, which I see over there past the steering wheel. So that'll buy me a bit. Looks like we're just below half. But I think until we get down to the next line to a quarter, I'm not too terribly concerned. And, you know, we've, ooh, a little shooting star there. I know those show up here and there. But at this point, I'm just not sure if we stay on this all the way to California, or if we'll end up changing before we get to California. I know, like, once we're in California, there's certainly some changes, but and then we'll obviously have a little bit of a detour to Stockton. Oh, there we go. Laramie discovered. We may turn and head up in that direction, so maybe that's why it's got a wider trigger point, because I was surprised seeing how far off the words were there, but it could be. It looks like we're going around here, and so then it will give it to us from that perspective. So yeah, we might actually get to 189,000 on this truck. Actually, I know we will, because we only have like 400. Whoa. I love how when they just don't speed up. So some pretty big truck stops on both sides, it looks like. Yeah, now that car is way up there, and I'm way back here because he had to pull around, but not pull around. Alright, Rollins, and I'm not sure Rock Springs. If that's, I think those are all still in Wyoming, but Rollins certainly is. So that means we've got at least 154 miles to be in the state. Alright, we're just about up to the max there. So it looks like we've got an exit here at Sinclair. Getting about to that point. So I just don't know if I can wait until it tells me that I'm running low. I mean, there are exits relatively frequently, so I should be okay. And I don't think up here this far north, because more in the desert down south in Arizona and New Mexico, I think there is a little bit more of a spread between exits, but up here I think it's relatively frequent. Because yeah, now we're just 29 miles from Rollins, so we'll definitely be able to have that. Because I think I should be able to get to Rock Springs, honestly, assuming that isn't not on our route, which it could be, but so we'll see if we discover this. Rollins is next two exits, it says, but it may then be far enough away that it won't give us that, like it did with Laramie. Alright, everybody's exiting there. That's always good to eliminate some of the traffic. So we should be getting to some larger mountains. There's a big R on the hill for Rollins, I assume. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Not that I've driven through this a lot, because the Wyoming is definitely one of the new maps that were released. So I've certainly like visited all the cities and so forth, but again, different times of day and things like that. Looks like the lights are turning off on the billboards. Strong winds pose a blowover risk. Well, that doesn't sound fun at all. Oh, we did get Rollins. Alright. Nice. Alright, so I think next time, after this town, next time I see gas, I probably should take advantage of it because we're crawling below a quarter here. But like I said, I think we can get to Rock Springs, which was 154 miles, because usually at 100 is when it'll start warning us that we're running low on fuel. There we go, Rock Springs is like 60 miles away now. Fireworks. So yeah, a lot of states in the U.S. you can buy fireworks, but then you can't use them in the state. We live in a state with Ohio like that. Don't know the rules in all the states, so I don't know if they allow it in Wyoming to buy and utilize or not. But I do love the 4th of July if we have the opportunity. You know, even in the states where we're not supposed to, a lot of people still do a little bit. We just don't go crazy with it, but given the opportunity, I probably would go crazy with it. I do enjoy it. I really love the holiday and all of that, so. Alright, so we've got to slow down to 80. We were able to go 85 for a bit, but we only got up to like 82. Alright, there we go, Rock Springs. But yeah, I'm just about ready to hit the red, so we'll definitely stop and get some fuel here, unless it's super far away, but I'm imagining it's not. No, there we go, and we're running out, as it says. So, good timing. Elk Street. Total Wyoming. But yeah, I think I might just go to the one across the street, because then I can just pull out and get right back on here, so I will do that instead of trying to turn right. Looks like it might be a little challenging to get to the pump, but we'll see. Always willing to drop the trailer and pull in if I really get in a tight spot. Again, usually try to do it the right way, but sometimes it gets to be a challenge. Oh, now all those cars are pulling in. Really? They like all wanted gas. Hyundai Santa Fe.
Turn left.
I had one of those. At least I assume it's a Santa Fe. Well, I do not like when the AI does that. Oh, that tractor just vanished. That was a little strange.
Let's find
Literally everybody is going to get gas. This is not...
Make a U-turn. When possible, I'll find a new route.
Oh my god.
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Oh, okay. I can go... Ooh, they scared me. I can go there. I didn't realize that would be the way. Not sure that I'm going to be able to line up here. I have created my own problem. Alright, we are filling up. So, maybe 150 gallons or something like that. Not quite sure exactly what that comes out to be. But we'll swing around this way. Just kind of look over that way, make sure we aren't turning onto something. And hopefully now we can exit without a lot of difficulty. But yeah, now we can just go straight. So that was the benefit of going here versus probably the one that was a little easier to maneuver into, but not as simple to exit, because that worked out pretty well, timing-wise even. So now we can go for a bit, probably until we need to rest. But we'll see how it all pans out. He is not letting us in, is he? Oh, I guess he is. He's just right there. Oh, Wyoming, the soda ash capital of the world. Probably would have been cheaper for whoever we're hauling this for to have bought it from here, but
Keep left.
it's alright. We're happy to have the work, certainly. East Flaming Gorge Road. So there you go. That was the load screen, was Flaming Gorge, Wyoming.
Keep left.
So I'm assuming that's if we exit here and go down one of the roads, but that is not where we are headed. So we are not doing that. Looks like, oh, we're turning. Just the way the road kind of vanished, I'm not sure if we go a different way. Alright, Salt Lake 166. Got a bit of a tunnel here. Gotta slow down to 70. So we'll do that. And I assume it speeds up out here, so the cars should be taking off soon, maybe. Yep, back to 80. So he should step on the gas. Don't know if we'll get to 85, but we're gonna try. I was just really focused on if he was gonna hit his brake lights, so. This car is going very slowly, and of course he's slowing down, which is what they always do, so that I have to hit my brakes. Somewhat realistic. I mean, definitely I know when you're like waiting to move over, it's like, why are these people in the left lane? They're barely moving. Alright, so that takes us up to Idaho. Pocatello is in Idaho. And then, but so will the interstate that goes through Salt Lake, so obviously multiple ways to get there. Looks like we got a bit of a wind farm type thing going on here. Alright, this should allow us to speed up pretty nicely. Question is, can we maintain it going up the hill? That's always the challenge. Of course, everybody's creating a couple traffic issues. Again, variable speed limit. So, slows us down a bit, but we're clearly having some trouble getting up the hill. We'll see if it changes. But I assume we're going to be getting to the border of Utah relatively soon as well. So exit 6, I assume, is we're 6 miles from the border, which will happen in no time. So Evanston, we're gonna get that one to ping for us too? Maybe not. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Not surprised. Could still happen, but... Oh, we've got exit 3 here, so... So yeah, I think we're definitely taking a little bit longer on the mileage as I'm watching it tick up. Yep, we did get it. Look at that. So we got, what, 3? 4 towns in Wyoming, because we had Cheyenne that we pulled off at, then Laramie, then Rawlins, now Evanston. And actually, I think we got Rock Springs, too. So we might have gotten 5, and I think there's only 10 or 9 or something. So we got a good portion of Wyoming checked off here. So it's great timing because, you know, that'll give us some places to start from, depending on what we want to do. So there's Utah. Need to head over to the port of entry. They want to check us out. They'll be like, you bring in soda ash from Wyoming? Nope. Bringing it all the way from Nova Scotia. Echo Port of Entry.
Keep left.
I assume that's the Times. The name of the town. The town's name is what I was going to say, not the Times. But alright. So we'll get going, we'll merge. I don't see anybody coming. I should be able to see them, so I think we're clear. Ogden is in Utah. We're in Utah, never mind. That's why it was a port of entry. It just happened like so quickly. My brain hadn't registered yet that we hadn't traversed through that. But we might discover Salt Lake too, because I'm not sure that we had. We might have already when we went by. I think we went by north-south, but not entirely sure. But Salt Lake does have a lot of industry, so it's definitely a good one to discover. Right, I think this will get me down to 75 here. Oh, we've still got 37 miles to go, so we have got a ways. And this truck is struggling to get up the hill. Sorry if I created some noise there moving my headphones, but sometimes you got an itch. So, looks like 146 miles to get across the state. That'll get us real close to 3,000 total miles. But obviously California is a gigantic state, so can do a lot of miles in there for sure. Alright, slow down to 70. Not sure if we're going to be able to keep going, so I'll be careful here. Because this guy's clearly, again, just kind of slowly dawdling around. Yep, of course. Of course not.
Keep left.
Alright, as I thought, but just wasn't sure if it was gonna really take me by Salt Lake. That would be logical. Oh, actually, oh, I see. So we can't even go straight. Oh, we have not discovered Salt Lake. So is it going to...
Keep right, and then exit right.
Yep, looks like. So we'll head to Reno. That'll take us by Salt Lake. So I guess we have to go through Nevada too. Obviously, I'm not knowing my geography really well right now as to how the states all butt up against each other. Certainly can name them all on a map and could insert them, but in the area of Utah, Obviously operating a little differently. So I know for certain, there we go, Salt Lake discovered. That's a big one. I do like, this is definitely a great route for unlocking some things. The most important thing we're going to unlock is in the town just before we drop off in Stockton when we get that Western Star dealership. I am pumped about that, because we will be in great shape. And the real question is then, now that I have a different area of the map, I may want to start out somewhere. You know, I need to get another garage anyway, so I may want to get a different garage other than the Cleveland one. I wonder if I can sell the Cleveland one and then just set up others. I don't know. Guess we can find out, see if it'll let me. That'll be a thing I've never tried, is to sell my original garage, but thinking I can't until I buy one, but maybe once I buy one I can. But it might not hurt to have some folks out there. I just may not base myself out of there. Where originally I was thinking, sure, why not? It's a different area of the map. It's not a terrible place to be based out of, but it's kind of in a dead zone of the map now for how things are developed. But it's not that far off. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, because since right now I'm not going to be doing the Real Economy US profile and proceeding with that, I could get myself kind of where I would have put myself with that, and, you know, but obviously I'm in a very different position here with a lot more money flowing in and a lot more money to start with, because I'm already way up here. Still thinking we probably have 5 or 6 hours. Oh yeah, we definitely need to. It's not even noon yet. I forgot how early we got going. Oh, I can actually speed up. I think I'm capped at 75 because that's what I needed there. Well, here's the high wind area. It's one thing again that I don't know that Truck Simulator has, is wind gusts that you have to contend with. That would just make things a lot more challenging. Port of entry, so I'm assuming that means we're hitting the Nevada border here. And then, yeah, we'll have to go across Nevada, which is certainly a wider state. And then, let's see, will it make a stop? Nope. So we will move over. A new viewpoint over at the other side there. I don't know if maybe I missed the sign as we headed in, because I would think the port of entry would already be in the state, but it may not be. But yeah, now it makes more sense, because I was thinking Utah was going to be, and then we'd be in California and have like 400 or 500 miles, but now we've got, well, I know we don't have 410 miles to go across, so not quite sure yet how far. Here we go. Welcome to Nevada. Good news is we're welcome to Nevada and still able to go 80. So that's the best kind of welcome if you're a trucker. Keep my speed limit up and let me haul this load. so we're already getting down to half of the fuel. So I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to remember. I thought it was like 3,500 miles, but maybe I'm not remembering right. Maybe it was 3,200, but either way, we'll get there when we get there. And yeah, we hadn't done the kind of double sleep thing yet. I may want to do that this time, because otherwise I think we're going to be like at 2 a.m. or something, so. Goodness, really? Got me all caught up here. And then, of course, they're not moving in the left lane, so that's not really fun and fair. Alright, now they're going. Oh boy. Don't be that guy. Because, yeah, I'm only going 60, so I'm sure they're all like, oh yeah, I can pass this truck. And they can. I'm speeding up, but obviously not enough to matter for these vehicles. So it slows me down, but I think going uphill here, it's going to slow me down anyway. Just depends how quickly or if the truck downshifts. It's still in 10th gear, but we are maintaining 57, so I suppose that's okay. But yeah, definitely lots of different terrain here. Yeah, there's definitely, a bit of a... There's some of the modders who've done a really good job kind of making you feel like you're in a real map, and, obviously large sections that just have basics. Clouds move so fast sometimes. It's just crazy. It's a little bit stuttery there in its movement. I think this is up from Reno or something. I think I've gone past that little casino or bar or whatever that was on the right side. But done a lot of this area, obviously, because these are all part of the really early states in ATS. Alco's 23. I didn't really see the others, so I'm not sure if this gets all the way to San Francisco. Alright, I didn't realize it was just down to 75, so let me bring that back down to 80, which is more reasonable for what we're doing. Before we get to Alco, we'll have gone 3,000 miles, I think. This is Alco East, so there's another part of Alco, but so I assume there's a couple Alco exits. Kenworth dealer again. There it is. We can even see it. Trying to remember if Alco is near the border. I want to say it is, but I'm probably wrong. I don't know. It's telling me 301, but are we really 300 miles to get across Nevada? So it was really like 400? I didn't think Nevada was that wide. Little do I know, I guess. Alright, down to 75. Alright, Winnemucca, I know. It says Reno's 290, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I just thought Reno was like south of us. That's why I thought it was that far, but maybe I am going south, although I don't think so. Because then why would it bring us all the way up here via Route 80? But we're up in northern California, or north central somewhat. When we finally are dropping off in Oakdale. But yeah, we've, I think, unlocked more cities on this route than we have certainly in a long, long time. So this has been valuable on many fronts. So not a bad choice, even to take a little bit of the hit. Oh, this is that really crazy tunnel. I don't know if this is the Eisenhower Tunnel, but yeah, obviously straight through a really big mountain. No, this isn't the Eisenhower. It said whatever it was there, something with a C, but now we're through the other side. There it goes away in my mirror very quickly. No services here. We are getting low on gas, so I do need to keep that in mind, but like I said, I think we're going to be at the point where we'll be looking to rest, we'll be looking for fuel at the same time, so it'll work out pretty well. But yeah, definitely, if it really is 260 across Nevada still, we're definitely looking at 3,500 before we get there, so. Is that a postal service truck? Yeah, I think it is. Alright, I just looked at my speed again. I'm like, I wonder if I'm out. Seems to be a little less of the mountains, so I was wondering if it was going to let me go along quicker, but it's not. It's still 70. Exit 230, Battle Mountain. I don't know if it's Battle Mountain or, like, well, it would have to be, because there wouldn't be a city named Mountain. So. There's obviously a town of some sort here, but not sure which one. I guess it's Battle Mountain, but it said downtown Battle Mountain. But my guy's not yawning yet. So I'm assuming we're not down to the 2 hours. Alright, now I can go a little quicker. Now we're up to 75. And yes, I do remember Winnemucca, but I don't know if we can discover it from the highway. I think that may be one you need to go to. Maybe not, because there are 2 exits for it. So we're just about at the point now where I would start looking, so because again I want to push my rest a little bit, and I have some gas that I can keep going, so I will do that. Oh, there we go. We did discover it. So it continues, and here's another tropical truck from Aruba. And then, yeah, I don't know. Can't imagine we're gonna get all the way to California. Yeah, no way. You can hear the pieces on the bridge. That's kind of cool. I don't know that I've ever noticed that before. So you can like hear when you're going over the seams. Because yeah, we're at mile marker 176, or exit 176, which theoretically puts us near that mile marker. At this point, we're more than halfway across Nevada. If again that 410 mileage was accurate. But yeah, I am somewhat surprised. Although, yeah, it probably will be close to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And now we can go a little quicker in theory, but not sure the truck can handle it, but we'll try. I know I got up to 82 at some point, so I know I can do a little bit better, but yeah, it looks like we're climbing a bit and losing some speed. We've blown past 189. I was like, oh, I think I'll get to 180. I might get to 189. Not thinking very clearly, obviously. So yeah, I think this giant air cleaner off outside the driver window is kind of a Kenworth, I don't know if I'd say trademark, but I think that's part of what people like, is the big chrome piece there. Why is it slowing down so much? That was strange, but okay. Because yeah, now we're going to have this guy go by. He's probably then going to cut over, cut us off, make us slow down. Oh, I'm surprised. Of course, the concern is, do I need to exit here? No, that's just a crossroads down to Las Vegas. It's not a town. But I do need to just be careful. We've got to be close to running out of gas. I'm surprised we're not kind of getting the tiredness sound yet. Pretty big hill. Fallon and Las Vegas. Alright, move over. So there's a rest stop there. Oh, there we go. Now we're finally tired. So before 5:30 we need to stop. And hopefully we're going to run across something soon then. That would be good. And then again, yeah, I think I'll sleep twice. Oh, well, now we're down to 100. So we're gonna have to stop soon. Or we're gonna be losing time and paying for emergency fueling. There we go, Carson City. That should be something, I would think. Looks like it with the signs. Food. Gas, there we go. That's what we need, gas and places to rest. So there's gotta be something here, right?
Finding a new route.
Yep, there we go.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
Oh, now that we're getting closer, it's clearly a larger truck stop, but first it looked really tiny.
Rerouting.
Clearly, it's not. Very tricky it is here out west where everything is big.
When possible, make a U-turn.
Alright, let's see. So it looks like we can turn here. This might not be the smartest thing, because I'm not sure I can pull out and make that turn, although that truck clearly did something. But let's fill up. This might be enough to get me there. And then sleeping, it might be enough to get me there too. Alright, we're gonna try. Just with this long nose, that doesn't help anything, that's for sure. But I think I'm clear. I think this is a short trailer. It's busy today. I'm going to try to head over to this double space at least, where I've got a little bit of room. Alright. So, 2 snoozes. Because otherwise it's 2 a.m. Alright, so got to back up so we can get out. Doesn't look like anybody's behind us. Hyatt Regency Hotels. Peek out the side, make sure again that we're clear. The truck hasn't moved all night. Alright, so it looks like there's like a mine across the way. Got traffic coming, so they are moving along. We will let them clear through, otherwise we're gonna have a problem. I assume we're going to turn right and get back on the interstate.
Get ready to turn right.
There you go, so she tells me. But I'm thinking at this point we've got maybe 300 miles. So it should be delivery day and I should have enough fuel. Unless I missed something. I don't think this was 3,700. I think it was like 3,500. I hope so. I guess I better keep my turn signal on, otherwise they won't know I'm trying to merge and they'll just blow by me if they're coming up, because I am barely going 50. Very bumpy that is. So, I think we've got a bit of a hill climb here. I'm assuming that's a train trestle there next to us, because we're not headed there. But a bit of a climb, so we're not speeding up too much yet. Right, well, telling us 19 miles, so I assume we'll be right there. Though I swear it also said McCarran, which is the name of the Vegas airport, but obviously we've just discovered Reno, but maybe this is some famous Nevadan, and so they have a road in Reno and they have the airport in Vegas. Not sure. Goodness, I must have had that cruise all the way up to 85. Because just getting it back down to 70 where I need to be here to be at least somewhat compliant. But yep, Sacramento, that makes sense. Got Northern California there. It's the capital too, so. Alright, so those are local mileage signs. So no idea how far Sacramento may be. But yeah, right now it's not giving me a lot of change in mileage, so going through Reno here, we're kind of in those time warps where time and miles don't move too quickly for a bit. So usually we see the times start ticking up faster when we know we've exited that space. Not sure how long it's gonna let us be 3 lanes. Because yeah, the 4th lane is an exit only, but at this point, if people want to stay in the center lane, I'll let them do that, and I'll keep heading along here. Hopefully I can get by him before we run out of lane. But yeah, it looks like through the city and through the entrances here, we've got three lanes. Lots of traffic.
Keep left.
We've got a few people exiting. More than a few. Not bad. That's good. Another one peels off. Awesome. But plenty still there. Huh. But yeah, we're in one of those uphill things again where it slows away down before it hits the gas. I don't understand why it's doing that. But I would think we're not climbing much anymore. Alright, Sacramento's 125, San Francisco's 202. We're not going as far as San Francisco, but we may be passing Sacramento. And then heading south after that. Now, I guess we do have a little bit of a climb here. Welcome to California. So now I've got to slow down to 60. And yeah, Northern California is a little more mountainous than Southern California is. So this is to be expected, but yeah, we're capped out at 60 here. It's slowing us down, so that's good. All trucks must have chains, so this is going to be a bit of a grade. The Truckee River. I think Truckee, California is up here. It's just again a matter of what will we discover and what won't we. So cycling through here, the time's definitely moving again, so we should be eating up the miles too. Can't really quite see the center line. It's a little crazy how washed out that is. Nice train. No services, next exit. Alright, we don't need any, so we're okay with that. 3,300 miles since we left the yard with this. So, getting close, getting close. We're obviously in the right state. Let's see, will it back off and let us over? Because we are slowing down as we climb here. So I would prefer, if people pass, that they pass on the left, and I should then be in the right where I'm slower. So yeah, it's going to be interesting too, because I know they're actively redoing California to improve it. So I think Redding was one that they had talked about in the last update, and I think it was this week. That's getting a major overhaul, so I don't know that I know any of the cities well enough to really know. I mean, I guess maybe LA I could see if they did something, but that one's pretty big and fleshed out already. I don't know that they're gonna focus a lot of energy on that. I was beginning to wonder, I'm like, I didn't see the little sensor that hangs over the road to mark it off. Whoop.
Let's find a new route. Turn right.
Way in motion,
I'll
huh?
find a new route.
I don't know that it lets me actually do that. I guess I can try. It said go 5 miles an hour, but I don't think it does. Huh? I guess it does. Alright. Nice. California's the place, too, that I've gotten tagged in. Oh, it's the Agricultural Inspection Station. I don't know that I've been here with with these, but doesn't look like I have to check it because they know I've got soda ash. Oh, maybe not. I guess we'll see. Alright, so I'm not sure, maybe the green was just because of what I had done. But yeah, they have those to avoid insects and stuff getting into the state. So they try to capture that with appropriate inspections. But I'm not sure I've gone through since they added those a few versions ago. Because either I wasn't actively playing ATS much, or just haven't gotten in those places. Obviously we went to LA but didn't get stopped at one of those, so. Alright, well, Truckie's the next exit, so I guess if we're gonna discover it, we're gonna find out. But it would seem, I mean, I know it's a smaller town, so looks like there's a truck dealer there, but not the one we want. We know that from looking it up. So yeah, this definitely is a little slower pace here, just because of the challenge with the hills. Well, we're circling around town, so maybe we will discover it. Because, yeah, now we're kind of headed to the heart of it. So, let's see. Maybe. Donner Lake, so I assume the Donner Pass is here somewhere. Maybe we go right through it. Maybe that's where we're headed. Well, if it's gonna discover it, it's gonna trigger it somewhere that isn't as clear to me that it would do it, but... Alright. This is definitely a bit of a pass. But I'm assuming if it's Donner Lake, that the Donner Pass would have to be here. So if it is, and if it's labeled, I don't know that we'll be able to read it. But we're definitely going through some pass somewhere. In Train Simulator, I've got the Donner Pass, so someday I'll be trudging a train through if that's what this is. But I'm thinking these regions have got to be more extremely difficult for a train, just like they are for a truck. Somehow I'm getting up to speed up here. Don't know how, but that's alright. I think we're still climbing. Alright, I think I can move over now. Definitely a challenge, these last few hundred miles. But the thing I don't know is, like, have we even made it to the point where we're turning south? I don't think we have, because 80 goes east-west. So I think we're going to have to hit something else. This is a long, long run through these mountains. But if we are 3,500, we're getting to within 100 or 200 miles here, so we are getting close. Because we got somehow something like 3562. So let's see, Donner Summit. There you go, elevation 7239. So this does have to be Donner Pass. And I assume at this point I'm headed downhill. Now I know I'm headed downhill. I really can't easily tell where the downgrade next 40 miles? What? Is that really how? Wow. That's a long way to go down. 4 I've seen, but 40? Alright, so yeah, at this point we're just limited by the speed limit. So we're not really even on the gas at this point. We're just riding the brake, I guess. Better move over, because we're catching them. Now we're going to need to go up a bit. There we go. see. Sacramento, 74. So I'm thinking Sacramento is where we'll start heading south, but I don't know. And obviously at this point where the road's been going is just where it's been going. There's not been any other crossroads or anything, so we know there's not an alternative yet. I'm assuming this is just, pulling over to the logging company. Alright, Vista Point.
Left.
But we don't have time for vistas, because we're almost there. And it is late in real time. So I want to be there. Because it's one of those, like, it's close enough, I'm gonna finish. But it does just feel slower moving from states where I've been able to go 80 to where I can only go 60. But yeah, if Sacramento was 74 and we're really getting that, we might not, maybe we're not getting quite that far. I don't know. Either that or I need more than 3,500 some miles to get there. Because, I mean, at this point, this would mean we're within 100 miles of where we need to be. And it's not that that's not possible, but it just seems a little improbable with how things have been progressing. But I think maybe we're finally through the mountains, and we can then find other roads that will be taking us where we need to go. I just remember there was kind of a loop, like it went up and then down and turned south. I wonder if that's the place, that the logging place that is off a bit. I don't know that it's off that far. There was something that went a little ways before. Placer Hills Road. Alright, I'm thinking I can stay at speed here. Very nice bridge. I love stuff like that. I think that looks really cool. But yeah, we're getting, there we go. I guess we are in Sacramento. But I just need to be careful because somewhere I may be changing and then heading down. Oops. Don't want to hit somebody here at the end. I already hit somebody when I started, I think. I think that was on this run. Yeah, this just seems like it's so slow, but obviously it is substantially slower than I was going. Yeah, I gotta go to Stockton, so I've gotta be careful here.
And then exit right.
Need to let him by.
Exit right.
Right, yep, down to Fresno and all that. So, we'll see how this circles around. Not quite sure where this takes us. But I assume that's the loop that I saw, or at least I'm headed for it. So there's a possibility. We've got, still 75 miles or so before we leave the 3500 block. So I'm assuming I'm heading south. Again, without the sim dashboard, I'm a little blind. And at this point, again, I think we're in slow mileage land around Sacramento. So that also lets us drive for a bit without really consuming a lot of miles. Stay in your lane. Thank you. Alright, so I do need to keep an eye out for Stockton, because once again, we've got a stop to make there, or, well, a drive-by to make there. Then we can cheer and hoot and holler. I'll try to be quiet so that I don't hurt your ears. But it's a major milestone, so I am certainly going to be excited about it. But yes, I think we're still kind of driving through Sacramento here. Yeah, there's a truck dealer there, but that's the Sacramento dealer. Whoever it is won't be able to see it. It's off through the trees. But yeah, 99 I think is the freeway that takes us down the direction we want to go. Yep, Stockton and Fresno. So there we go. On our way. Is the time ticking? Not yet, so I think we're still in that warp for a bit. I think now we got out, so now we're heading down. Stockton's just 24 miles. Oh, there it is on the map. On the mini map, I should say. And then right past Stockton is where we're headed, so let's look for where the symbol is. I think that's just a repair center, but that may be the truck dealer. I don't know. Interesting, that's a Team Reforma, so I don't know if they changed some things up here in California. Not sure.
Go straight on.
Alright. Oh, I do want to go straight on. There it is in front of me, so. Because then I'm like, no, that's just a repair center, it looks like, but I didn't want to miss other things. So it may just keep me on this road anyway, which works out. Because then otherwise it might have tried to take me on the freeway. But I would have stayed in here anyway until I discovered it. But yeah, I think I can see the Western Star symbol. I'm not sure that just going by it is going to work. So I will head that way, because I definitely don't want to not discover it. That would hurt.
Rerouting.
Alright, Western Star dealer discovered. Awesome. I love it. I love it.
Turn right.
So now we just go finish. Oh, I want to beat all those people. Holy moly, do I ever. Alright. So now we just need to get to Oakdale. So we're leaving Stockton. We're not going all the way to Fresno. That's a ways. And we still got 30 or 40 miles as a possibility here, so I think it will be 3,500. But obviously we need to see it somewhat soon, or it won't be. Unless somehow this wasn't the road, but I think it is. I think if we went over on the interstate over there, we'd be too far over. Although it is kind of coming back. So yeah, I think these are vineyards where we've got some grapes, wine country. I don't know that this is Napa Valley. That's more toward the ocean, I think. There we go. Alright, so we gotta be over to the left. So, looks like he's waiting. Very nice of him. But yeah, Oakdale is its own little... Oh. Oops.
Exit right.
So, Oakland and Oakdale. But I'm sure Oakland's a little ways away. Alright, nobody coming that way. Nobody coming that way. Oh, he showed up pretty fast with some vats. But we're going to the BNSF facility. But yeah, see, here's Team Reforma. Welcome to our project, USA Reworks, Sierra Nevada. So I wonder if this is a town that wouldn't have existed if not for the Reforma thing. Alright. Because, yeah, I think this goes with, like, the LA terminal and so forth. But, yeah, the In-N-Out Burger. They're good. They're not, like, incredible, like some people make them out to be. If you ever go, you can get things animal style. It's basically a sauce that they put on it. You can get your fries that way, too. I guess it's back here. I don't even know where I'm going. But
this is where it ends.
It is where it ends, you're right. I guess it's through the crane. Pick up a container and move it around. Ah, there we go. So, in between, we got a couple spaces. I was going to say in between a couple trailers, but so, let's see. Yep, that should work. But yeah, I gotta remember because I've kind of got a little dinky trailer here. Looks like a reefer. Looks like it's a refrigerated trailer. It absolutely is, but I don't think soda ash needs to be refrigerated, so that's interesting. Let me straighten things out a bit. Get myself in a better spot. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. Got the last truck dealer. I know I'm going to be within a shorter load of getting to level 30. This is all excellent, excellent stuff. Probably could have done a better job, but it's alright. Alright. let's see what we got. Yeah, we're actually parked pretty well, actually. So 3587, 8400. Again, I know we're gonna get there, but obviously not quite enough to go beyond that. Alright, so we got, yeah, basically the long distance delivery and the urgent delivery, and then we didn't even get a high-end trailer maneuvering bonus. But at this point, I'm going to put it on the fragile cargo. When we get to 30, we'll have the last point we want. Didn't unlock anything at level 29, so level 30 is it. But we're close, we're real close. So let me just check, I should have looked. Yeah, we literally need 1,000 points. 1,700, let's say, just to be safe. So, not 8,000. I can take something substantially shorter. So, I probably will knock that out pretty quickly. And then we will go from there. I will see you next time.